Oh, I've got it.
Oh, you got one of our misprints.
Yeah, that was one of the early ones, I think, with the offset polygons or whatever.
So, good to see someone uses our maps.
Sorry?
Good to see someone uses our maps.
We're going to need some new ones soon.
Well, we're looking forward to that day. We're looking forward to that day.
That's 1987, so it's a bit, would have been upgraded.
New version of this one's a hard.
Well, you wait till we start getting some geophysics in now, then you'll see some.
All right, well, we can just put ourselves in context here, where Nundall's just in there, on the western side of the Peel Fault and the Great Serpentinite Belt, which runs up along here, the Great Serpentinite Belt. There's several splays that come off in places. As you come down to the south here, we've got a little window between the tertiary basalts, which is Barry Station that we're on at the moment. The light blue coloured units is the Manning Group, early Permian diamictites that were fueled rapidly into these little, well, I interpret them as little strike-slip basins along here. And on either side of that you've got the serpentinites and fragments of the ophiolitic, or the ophiolite, the Cambrian ophiolite, which is part of the Werreri terrain. And Jonathan and Trevor Island dated those as 530 million, is that right, Jonathan? Yeah. So if we have a look, this is where I did my honours mapping for six weeks when I was here with another student mapping this area. So that's this little spot in here. This is the Manning Group running up through here. It's sort of this on echelon type shaped basin filled with coarse grained diamictites and mass flow deposits on the margins of the basin there. And as you get into the centre of the basin, much finer grain siltstones and so on. So very complexly deformed. As you drove in, the last few kilometres has been mostly red shirts of the Wooloman beds or the Dungatti terrain. And Jonathan's got a lot of radiolarians out of those in the past, which are mostly Devonian, well, ranging from Ordovician right through to late Devonian, yeah.
So that fault bounded your Manning?
Yeah, well, the Manning Group, which is the purpose of this stop here, is to show that it is both fault bounded and stratigraphic. There's another outcrop of Manning Group further back there where there is an unconformable contact with the surrounding country rock. But in other places it's fault bounded, as here you'll see it's sheared up against the serpentinite. But if you do the petrography of the diamictites, you find serpentinite clasts in the Manning Group. So it's been formed after the serpentinite has been exposed to erosion, and that's the first evidence of serpentinite in any sedimentary sequences in the New England that I know of. So that's sort of helping constrain when the serpentinite was emplaced, which seems to be latest Carboniferous or early Permian, because the Manning Group has very few fossils in it, but the few that have been found indicate an early Permian age. But again, it's probably quite poorly constrained in terms of its age. So we're right here. You'll see that nice contact there, and then we go. The next stop will be in the heart of the Werreri terrain, in the gabbros and plagiogranites of the ophiolitic material that makes up the Werreri terrain, and then we'll go a bit further on if we can. I'm not sure how the track is at Barry, if we can get over this hill in the bus, but if we can, then we'll see some of the core of the more felsic material that makes up the Gamilaroi terrain. This area is quite complex. Usually you've got the Dungatti terrain to the east of the Peel Fault, of the Great Serpentinite Belt, and the Gamilaroi terrain to the west. But down here there seems to be some sort of duplexing going on, maybe some strike slip faulting or something that's repeated that stratigraphy or that association several times. So it's not a clear relationship, and you can see the Great Serpentinite
Starting to
belt
swing around.
swinging around and being repeated. With Pictobani here, and
You can see that fairly well on the aeromagnetics now.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Down on Mount George.
Okay, so we might as well go down and have a look at some rocks.
Just a question there, the Manning Group as you've described there, I presume that's just the gyro-diamictite, or is there any of the younger units as well?
Here, well, it's just the diamictites as far as I know.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any. I tried to extract fossils out of some of that material, but I didn't find any. It's fossils are few and far
I
between.
think Michael Vickers tried to get palmology
Yeah,
once. And
well, one of the samples we did was from here because we had a nice black
Yeah.
shale. We thought we might be able to get pollen out of it, but it was
he
unfruitful.
Well, he reckoned it was successful up until a certain point, and then they just got destroyed in the process.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's,
Yeah, well, Michael was working on that when I was doing my honours.
Right,
Yeah,
okay.
He was working mostly down at Glenrock on the
Yeah.
Manning
I
Group.
think, what's his name, Ken Cross had some serpentinite. Serpentinite caught up with some shelly fossils in one spot.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's certainly, as I recall, there was some bicketite thought to be derived from New England, some of the early Permian
Yeah, okay.
sandstones.
What would be nice is to find some tuffs or something in amongst it that we could date. But yeah, certainly. There's some beautiful mass flow deposits in amongst it, just up here actually. Reverse grading and matrix support.
Yeah.